Welcome to the Shocking History Photos channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. There are some photos that are too haunting for the history books. Images of disasters, crimes, and tragedies that changed the world. In this video, we're revealing 25 chilling photos that expose history's darkest moments. Let's dive in. The following events caused immense destruction and left behind questions that are still unanswered. The eruption that buried Pompeii is no exception. On August 24, 79 AD, the peaceful town of Pompeii was destroyed near Mount Vesuvius, a mountain that people didn't know was a volcano. One day, the volcano exploded, shooting hot ash, rocks, and lava into the air. The ash covered the whole town so quickly that people couldn't escape. Many were frozen in time, doing everyday things, and the city stayed buried for hundreds of years. Rediscovered in the 18th century, Pompeii offers a haunting glimpse into life long ago, but it's also a tragic reminder of how an entire town vanished in an instant. On May 6, 1937, the Hindenburg, a massive airship hailed as the future of travel, burst into flames while landing in New Jersey. Within seconds, the fiery explosion consumed the airship in less than a minute, killing 36 people. Crowds watching the landing in awe were horrified as excitement turned to tragedy. The disaster shattered public confidence in airship travel and left the victims' families heartbroken. On December 3, 1984, a pesticide factory in Bhopal, India, leaked a deadly chemical called methyl isocyanate into the air while people slept. The toxic cloud killed about 3,800 people instantly, with the death toll eventually reaching 15,000. This industrial disaster remains one of the worst factory accidents in history, highlighting the devastating consequences of inadequate safety measures. On April 26, 1986, a safety test at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine went catastrophically wrong, releasing massive amounts of radioactive material into the air, causing widespread contamination. The nearby town of Pripyat was evacuated, with families leaving behind everything: clothes, toys, and even pets, believing they'd return in a few days. They never did. Pripyat became a ghost town, and many who stayed behind suffered or died from radiation exposure. This tragedy forever changed the lives of thousands, showing how something invisible could wreak unimaginable destruction. On January 28, 1986, the Challenger space shuttle lifted off with 7 astronauts, including a teacher set to teach lessons from space. Just 73 seconds into the flight, disaster struck as the shuttle exploded in midair, killing everyone on board. This tragedy shocked the world and underscored the critical importance of safety in space exploration. The Titanic was a marvel of its time, grand, luxurious, and deemed unsinkable. On its maiden voyage in April 1912, over 2,000 passengers and crew set sail, unaware of the looming tragedy. On the night of April 15th, the ship struck a giant iceberg, tearing its hull. As freezing water flooded in, chaos erupted. With not enough lifeboats, over 1,500 people, men, women, and children, were lost to the icy Atlantic. The Titanic's sinking remains one of history's greatest maritime disasters, a haunting reminder of the fragility of even humanity's greatest achievements. On December 26, 2004, a massive undersea earthquake triggered a devastating tsunami that swept across Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and beyond. The waves struck with unimaginable force, wiping out entire villages and tearing homes apart. More than 230,000 lives were lost, many with no warning or chance to escape. The world was left in shock, reminded of nature's overwhelming power and how quickly everything can change. Next, we uncover some of the most chilling crimes and unsolved murders in history, stories that continue to haunt and mystify to this day. In 16th century Hungary, Elizabeth Bathory, a wealthy noblewoman, earned the chilling nickname the Blood Countess. Accused of killing hundreds of young girls, she reportedly believed bathing in their blood would keep her young forever. Bathory lured poor girls to her castle under false promises, only to torture and kill them. Her horrifying cruelty shocked the world and cemented her legacy as one of history's most infamous figures. On January 15, 1947, 22-year-old Elizabeth Short, an aspiring actress, was found brutally murdered in Los Angeles. Her body was discovered under shocking and brutal circumstances and left in a vacant lot. The press dubbed her the Black Dahlia because of her striking dark hair and mysterious allure. Despite countless investigations, her killer was never caught. The violent nature of her death shocked the nation, leaving behind a chilling mystery that still haunts Los Angeles to this day. On November 18, 1978, over 900 people tragically died in Jonestown, Guyana, under the control of cult leader Jim Jones. Leading the People's Temple, Jones manipulated his followers into drinking poisoned punch, calling it an escape from the world. Those who refused were forced to drink or were killed. Entire families, including children, lost their lives in this heartbreaking tragedy. The Jonestown Massacre stands as a chilling reminder of how blind trust in a manipulative leader can lead to devastating consequences. In the fall of 1888, London was gripped with fear as a killer known as Jack the Ripper terrorized the Whitechapel district. He brutally murdered at least 5 women with shocking cruelty, leaving behind a trail of horror. Despite countless investigations, the Ripper's identity was never uncovered. Imagine living in a city where a dangerous predator lurked in the shadows, ready to strike at any moment. Even today, the unsolved mystery of Jack the Ripper continues to send chills down spines. In the fall of 1888, London's Whitechapel district was gripped by terror. A mysterious killer, later dubbed Jack the Ripper, stalked the streets, brutally murdering at least 5 women. The gruesome mutilations shocked everyone, even hardened investigators. To make matters worse, letters, supposedly from the Ripper, taunted the police and fueled the city's growing panic. Despite extensive investigations and countless theories, the Ripper's identity was never discovered. Imagine walking through dimly lit streets, knowing a predator could strike at any moment. Over a century later, the mystery of Jack the Ripper remains one of history's most chilling unsolved crimes. Now, we turn to the devastation of war and conflict, moments in history marked by unimaginable suffering and the scars they left on humanity. In 1830, the U.S. government passed the Indian Removal Act, forcing Native American tribes to leave their ancestral lands for new settlements. Thousands of men, women, and children were made to walk hundreds of miles to Indian Territory, now known as Oklahoma. The journey was brutal. With little food, inadequate clothing, and no proper shelter, many succumbed to illness, exhaustion, and starvation. By the end, thousands had died, and the survivors carried the scars of unimaginable suffering. The Trail of Tears remains one of the darkest chapters in American history, a tragic reminder of how deeply people were mistreated. Between 1936 and 1945, Japan's Unit 731 carried out horrifying experiments on prisoners during World War II. Chinese civilians and Allied soldiers were subjected to inhumane experiments, including exposure to deadly diseases and extreme conditions, all in the name of developing biological weapons. Thousands suffered unimaginable cruelty, treated as little more than test subjects. The atrocities of Unit 731 remain a chilling reminder of the inhumanity that can arise in the pursuit of power and warfare. On December 13, 1937, during the Second Sino-Japanese War, Japanese soldiers invaded the Chinese city of Nanking, now Nanjing, unleashing a 6-week reign of terror. Hundreds of thousands of people were brutally killed, including women, children, and the elderly. Civilians suffered horrific violence, and entire neighborhoods were reduced to ashes. The massacre devastated the city and left deep scars on the survivors. It stands as one of the most horrific events in modern history, a haunting reminder of the unimaginable brutality war can inflict on innocent lives. Between 1941 and 1945, the Holocaust became one of history's darkest chapters. During World War II, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime systematically targeted Jewish people and other minorities. Millions were sent to concentration camps, where they were starved, tortured, and killed. 6 million Jewish men, women, and children lost their lives in this genocide. The Nazis sought to erase Jewish people from Europe, using gas chambers, mass shootings, and other horrific methods. Families were torn apart, and countless children never saw their parents again. The Holocaust remains a heartbreaking reminder of the devastating consequences of hatred and the unimaginable suffering it inflicted on millions of innocent people. On April 17, 1975, the Khmer Rouge, led by Pol Pot, seized control of Cambodia and began one of the deadliest genocides in modern history. Their vision of a simple life forced millions from their homes to labor in brutal conditions, with little food or rest. Hunger, illness, and executions claimed the lives of approximately 1.7 million people. The Khmer Rouge also targeted intellectuals, professionals, and anyone with differing beliefs, silencing entire communities. Their reign of terror finally ended in 1979 when Vietnamese forces overthrew the regime. The Cambodian genocide remains a chilling reminder of the devastating impact of unchecked power and ideology. On March 16, 1968, during the Vietnam War, U.S. soldiers entered the village of My Lai. Believing enemy forces were present, soldiers attacked the village, leading to the deaths of innocent civilians, including women and children. The horrific incident shocked the world when it was uncovered, sparking outrage and raising serious questions about the war and military accountability. Next, we dive into abandoned places and eerie mysteries, stories that will keep you wondering long after the video ends. In 1587, English settlers established a colony on Roanoke Island, off the coast of North Carolina. But when a supply ship returned 3 years later, the settlement was completely abandoned. The only clue left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a tree. What happened to the settlers? Did they join a nearby Native American tribe? Were they victims of starvation, disease, or something more sinister? To this day, the disappearance of Roanoke remains one of history's most enduring mysteries. In 1959, 9 experienced hikers ventured into the Ural Mountains of Russia, but days later, their frozen bodies were discovered scattered in the snow under bizarre circumstances. Their tent was ripped open from the inside, and some hikers had broken bones, missing body parts, and no proper clothing, as if they fled in panic. What could have terrified them so much? Despite decades of investigations, the strange injuries and eerie details have left the Dyatlov Pass incident an unsolved and chilling mystery. At the base of Mount Fuji lies Aokigahara, a dense and eerily silent forest, often called Suicide Forest. For years, it has been a place where many have tragically taken their lives, earning it a haunting reputation. The forest's density makes it easy to get lost, while its stillness creates an unsettling atmosphere. Locals believe the forest is haunted by the spirits of those who died there, and often avoid the area. In recent years, signs have been placed at its entrances, urging visitors to think of their families and seek help instead of taking a tragic step. Aokigahara serves as a somber reminder of the importance of mental health and the hidden struggles many people face. On June 30, 1908, a massive explosion rocked a remote forest in Siberia, Russia, flattening over 80 million trees and sending shockwaves that could be heard hundreds of miles away. Scientists believe the cause was a meteor that exploded in the atmosphere before reaching the ground. Fortunately, the sparsely populated area meant few people were harmed, but the sheer scale of the destruction made it one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries for decades. In this next section, we turn to epidemics and plagues, silent killers that have shaped history, spreading devastation and leaving entire populations in despair. Between 1347 and 1351, the Black Death swept through Europe, killing nearly 1/3 of the population. The plague, carried by fleas on rats, spread rapidly, causing painful sores, high fevers, and death within days. Fear and confusion gripped Europe, as no one understood how the disease spread. Entire towns were wiped out, leaving survivors to live in constant dread. Families, communities, and even entire regions were devastated, and it took centuries for Europe to recover from the aftermath of this unimaginable tragedy. Between 1918 and 1920, the Spanish flu became one of the deadliest pandemics in history, claiming an estimated 50 million lives worldwide. The pandemic spread rapidly as World War I forced soldiers and civilians into close contact. Unlike many illnesses, the Spanish flu hit young, healthy individuals the hardest, making it especially terrifying. Families lost loved ones suddenly, with no vaccine or treatment available. The pandemic left the world reeling, changing the way people lived and worked. and its impact is still felt in global health responses today. From 1932 to 1972, doctors in the United States conducted a shocking and unethical study on 400 black men suffering from syphilis. The men were told they would receive treatment, but instead, they were deliberately left untreated so researchers could study how the disease progressed. The study, originally claimed to last 6 months, continued for 40 years. Over 100 men died as a result, and countless families were left to suffer. When the truth came to light in 1972, it sparked outrage and highlighted the devastating consequences of broken trust in medical ethics. History shows us both the darkest and most resilient sides of humanity. While we can't change the past, we can learn from it and move forward stronger. If these stories sparked your curiosity, check out our other videos to uncover more hidden chapters of history.